Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to a special video, a tale of woe and a tale of, I don't know what to say really. Despair. But suffice to
Torture.
say, I'm a massive American Wealth in London fan. And a few years ago, we visited the film locations up on Hay Bluf and Crickadon, where a lot of it was filmed, the moors scenes. And we decided yesterday, or a couple of days back, that we were going to go back up to Hay Bluf, and we were going to do some silly little film location video right up on Hay Bluf, because there is a park up there. Unfortunately, it turned into our very own horror movie last night.
Thanks to Google Maps.
So, I'll start from the beginning. We left the caravan site that we was on yesterday, the site. We got water, we went and got gas. There was a gas station nearby, so we filled it with LPG. All's good. 45 minutes to Hay Bluf. As I said, I have been there before. We've been up there and we've done some bits and bobs. Not in the van though, in our car a couple of years back. Unfortunately, I put it in my sat nav, and it's taken. I know it's very remote. So if you haven't seen American Wealth in London, it's set on the north. It's actually meant to be in the North Yorkshire moors, but it was actually filmed in Hay Bluf because of its remote location. So the scene where they get dropped off with the sheep. And that was filmed on Hay Bluf, and then when you see the Jack and David walking down the hill through the moors, that's Hay Bluf. That's where we was going to park. There's a little lay-by up there. I can't stress to you just how remote it is up there. That's why it was filmed there. After all, that's why it was filmed there, because of its remoteness. It is the middle of nowhere. To get to it, you've got to go through miles of single track, and I'm talking single track, barely enough for the van. I knew it was going to be a risky move to get up there, but I know people have been up in there in vans, and all went well for a start. And then as we came through all the tiny little single track lanes, we came over the cattle grid into the moors themselves, which takes you up the slope. And I will include, as I tell this story, I will put pictures in so you can get some sort of references. I will say at this point we never filmed any of it because we just couldn't. I'll tell you the story, and as I go you'll understand why we didn't film anything. So we come through the cattle grid. At this point we're faced with the most desolate place there is. It is desolate up there. It is proper moors and sheep. That's your lot. With a very tiny small lane that goes through the moors. Either side of the road is just heathland, moorland. It's pitch black because we did it last night after Lindsay finished work, so by the time we got up there it was sort of 7 o'clock. It's pitch black, it's chucking it down the rain, it's misty, it's grey. Perfect, because that's exactly what the weather was in the actual movie at the beginning when they get dropped off. Again, I'll put references up there, little video references from the movie, so you get where we're coming from. The kettle's boiling now, look, Lindsay. Full flow. So, let me just flip this kettle off and I'll carry on with this tale of woe. So yeah, we come through the cattle grid, and facing us through these moors is a really steep country lane hill, or country road, heathland road, whatever you want to call it. And we need momentum to get our hills. We need a bit of momentum, which is great. It wasn't a hill that we can't get up. We've been up much steeper in France, Luxembourg, Belgium, and recently up in the Yorkshire Dales. Really bad, but Herman copes. Unfortunately, right, we need to put our foot down to get up the hills, which is fine. That's what most fans are the same. But we can't do that there because there's bloody sheep everywhere. All the sheep, in fact, well, every single sheep on the heath, on the moorland, was lying on the road, and they would not move. So we're trying to edge up the hill, papping our horn as we go, and I got about 3/4 of the way up, not even that, halfway up, and we just lost momentum. I couldn't, and as soon as I put it in gear, first gear, second gear, we were just spinning. So now I'm stuck halfway up in the pitch black, in the moors, right, remote as you can get, with no houses for miles and miles around, no farm, nothing. So obviously then I had to sort of back down, right, very gingerly, and I actually went off the road a touch and I got stuck. So at this point now I am stuck in the middle of in the rain, in the mud, the mist, in the middle of the moors. Nowhere, nobody around, no houses, no farms. And I know there was no farms because we actually Google mapped it afterwards to see where the nearest farm was, because genuinely we thought we were stuffed. Lindsay's crying her eyes out, she's shaking, she's having a panic attack. I was trying to keep calm for Lindsay, but I couldn't. I was like, didn't know what to do. I thought, what the hell do I do here? I've gone off the road, I've sunk basically the offside of the van. I'm like, what are we going to do here? I thought, this is literally like the film, where we're just going to have to walk off the moors, just like Jack and David, and try and find something, a tractor or a farmer or whatever. But we thought about it, and luckily, and I mean this is probably the best bit of luck we had for the whole night, luckily we managed, because we was on such a steep hill, I hard locked it down, right hand down, right, out of gear, and we actually rolled out of it, which was a massive relief. Now, because of how dark and miserable and grey it was up there, Lindsay had to stand in front of the van. I was out of gear, and Lindsay had to stand in front of the van and shine the torch on the road, because the van literally only had enough room either side. It literally had probably 6 inches either side, and I knew if I made one mistake on the steering, didn't keep it straight, we was in serious trouble, right? So I edged down for probably a mile and a half. We had to edge down this mountain, this moorland hill. Some of you might know where we're coming from here, because you've probably been up there. The mistake we know we made was the sat-nav. We followed the sat-nav from the Welsh side, whereas from the English side, although it's still remote and the roads are still a bit dodgy, you can get up there, right? But we just followed the sat-nav from where we were. So anyway, we edged back down this mountain, this is the hillside for Hay Bluf, came back down, reversed over the cattle grid, and then I had to reverse around it, because we can't turn around anywhere. Once we're coming back over the cattle grid, we're back into this like country, this single track lane, but with really tall hedges either side. So all I could do was keep reversing, reverse. The clutch is screaming, the brakes are stinking, the ABS light come on my van. It was just horrifying. I can't set the scene enough. That it was wet, it was grey, it was misty, it was remote, it was pitch black. So we then reversed, and eventually we came to like a T-junction type thing, like a country lane T-junction, and I managed to reverse round and back. That's it, you think. That's it. At that point, the decision was made. We were just going to drive towards Hereford. We found a park up, but we said, well, what we'll drive out these country lanes now, find a main road, pull over, and we'll find another park up. Easier said than done. So we were driving for miles through, I mean literally miles and miles and miles, and it's just a single track with hedges either side. You can't see nothing. And it was a good 15 minutes before we seen even a house. In fact, we seen a house and we thought, oh my God, we must be getting somewhere. We must be close to civilization. We wasn't. So we just kept going and going, and eventually we found the main road. A sort of road. So then all I did then was just put in my sat nav, Hereford. Right, I thought on the way to Hereford we're bound to find something. Right, when we see a label, we'll pull over, we'll have a look for a park up on Park for Night, and we'll head towards it. So we get onto this ish road. I want to say an ish road, it's a B road, okay, but it did have 2 lanes. It did have white lines. It's not great. Okay, so we start driving. Whole of Herefordshire is flooded. I mean, everywhere. Every single route that we tried to take, right, we'd go so far and there'd be a barrier across, road closed, flooding. Right. And Lindsay keep telling me about the wooden bridge. I haven't got that far yet, Lindsay. Okay, so every single route we tried to take was barriered off, road closed, road closed, road closed. At this point, me and Lindsay literally felt like we was in the twilight zone. We were going round. I felt like we felt like we was on an island, on some sort of island where we couldn't get out of it. We felt like we was in a time warp. It was like the Twilight Zone. It's raining. It's dark. It was literally a scene from a horror movie. It really was. So I forget to. I will just mention it in passing that the van is absolutely covered in splatter mud everywhere. The door handles, we had to wash the door handles off because we couldn't open the doors. Lindsay had to go and grab a torch in a panic, so there's mud all through the van, on the carpets. It was horrendous. So anyway, eventually we found this route. We pulled over, we found a park up, and we headed towards it. And we went down this country lane, and we were not far from this park up, and it looked like a nice one as well. And we were heading down this country lane, and then all of a sudden was like, was it bridge ahead, 7.5 ton limit, weren't it, Linz?
Sorry?
It was a bridge ahead, 7.5 ton limit. It was down a country
lane, it wasn't just down this on a road.
No, it wasn't, it was down this, we'd come off the main road again to follow this next route that we thought may be, passable to try and get towards Hereford, because every road that we tried was closed, and we kept going round in circles. And of course Google Maps is just sending you round in circles once to go down these roads, because it doesn't come up on there that they're closed. The whole of Hereford is flooded. They've had so much rain, so all the main routes into Hereford are completely blocked. So I'm like, well, what do we do? It doesn't matter which way we go. And of course, if you go off the beaten track, you're risking being back up into them lanes and the moors. And like, we just didn't know what to do. We were just like, what the hell? Eventually, this guy come flying past us and went straight through one of the road closed, didn't he? So it was like, sod it, we'll just follow it. So we followed him, and eventually we turned off down this other country lane towards this park up, and there was a bridge. And bearing in mind that the River Wye at the moment is in full flood, it is a torrential brown, just powerful, scary looking beast. And there was this poxy little wooden bridge that goes over it, and it ain't a short bridge. A Wye's a wide river, and all it was railway sleepers across this bridge. It's a toll bridge. And I looked at it, Lindsay had noticed the sign, 7.5 ton. And I thought, there's no way that can hold 7.5 ton. But I went over it, and it was scary. Could hear the slats going underneath. I'm like, God, if this bridge goes, we're dead. Game over. We got to the other end, and it was a toll. So we had to faff about trying to pay a toll of £1. Paid the £1 toll. Gets back onto the main road. And Lindsay, feel free to interject here at any point if I miss any details of the horror story out. So what happened then? We got over the bridge, didn't we?
Yeah, that happened at the bottom of when we was coming off Hay Bluf, the bridge.
Did it? Oh,
yeah.
Well, just
it's Whitney. It's the Whitney toll bridge. I've literally just googled it.
It's called Whitney
and I look
toll
at the
bridge.
picture, I feel shit. You wouldn't get a 7.5 ton lorry on it.
I'll put the picture of the toll bridge here now.
You wouldn't.
So anyway, so look, long story short, for the next couple of hours, we were stuck
trying to get
in a
into
time
civilization,
zone, going round, just round and round and round, and everywhere we went, road closed.
We sat at one point. We was at a crossroads, and we literally sat at the crossroads for what would seem like 5-10 minutes, just thinking, we go left, it's shut, we've already been down there, straight over is like a single track lane and it's heading to Hereford, we know that's going to be shut. Right, the road is closed. Behind us is going back towards Hay Bluf and through all that lot, and we're not going back up that way, not on earth. And then all of a sudden, like some guiding car come roaring past and went straight through the road closure sign. We was like, we'll follow him, he must be a local and know more than what we do.
Yeah.
It turns out the road closed signs are there and must have been there for a while, because we managed to get through that road, and that road led us to back down to where we started to round Abergavenny.
Yeah.
And literally we'd been travelling for like 3 hours, and just to get back to where we started.
Yeah. One of the road closed signs, we did actually just pass it, didn't we? And there was a car stuck in the water.
Yeah, there was a car genuinely stuck in the flood there.
So it was flooded there. So when we did see road closed signs, we didn't want to go down them because we'd seen that guy stuck. So yeah, it was just a horror story. So eventually we followed the signs. We followed this guy through this road closed.
You could see where the road would have been flooded.
Yeah,
you could see the marks where it would have been, but it wasn't anymore.
If it wasn't for that guy, I don't know. We followed him.
So and thank you, whoever you were.
20 miles back to Leominster, and eventually we got to Leominster. Thought it was bound to be a park up round
there.
No,
we didn't get to Leominster. It was shut off.
Oh, that was right. Yeah.
Leominster. Instead of going Hereford, we tried to divert to Leominster. And then everywhere was shut around Leominster as well, so we had no choice but to head back towards Abergavenny. It was the only place we could go.
We ended up in Abergavenny, didn't we? Looked for a park up there. Couldn't find anything. There was a couple on park for night, but when we got to them, they were full of lorries, weren't they? There was lorries there.
All the lay-bys were full of lorries because of obviously their hours.
They can't get anywhere.
And it's their hours.
The lorries are all stuck out because they can't get into Hereford. So all lay-bys were full. I thought, what are we going to do here? We did find one that was a little tiny thing right next to a cemetery. I mean, literally parking in the cemetery. Under the circumstance at the time, I have absolutely no care whatsoever about staying in a cemetery. It wouldn't bother me. But last night, I genuinely thought, we are stuck in the twilight zone here. There was something scary. There was bad karma in the air that night. I thought, not tonight. Not staying there tonight. So eventually, and I do mean eventually, we come out the other side. We're on just off the A40 by Abergavenny.
No, we're not.
No, not now, but last night.
No, we weren't. We was just gone past Hay on Wye on our way to Abergavenny. Yeah. And we was going to like Cricken Hall or something, because there was a park up there, and we stopped at that car park that you couldn't stay at, but we stopped at a car park. I can't remember where that was. We'll have to have a look.
Yeah.
And instead, I'd put the park up in my sat nav on Google Maps. You put it on yours, and mine was taking us a completely different way to what yours was taking us. We followed your sat nav.
Yeah.
And then mine rerouted to yours, so we carried on. Again, we're back in flipping country lanes. Going round there, it made us go through all these country lanes, up and down the hills, and pitch black again. Absolute nightmare. Turned right, down the really steep hill. Saw another sign saying the bridge was 2.1 metres wide.
Can I just interject here as well? This point, right, the park up that we found, which looked really nice, was literally the other side of the bridge, right? We've been driving now for 3 hours, maybe.
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. We're tired, we're absolutely exhausted, we're stressed. We've had the horror of all journeys.
Yeah.
Right? And we thought we're literally within striking distance, the other side of the bridge, right, from a really nice little park up. And I will put what park up we was gonna go to here now.
And we got down there, signposts 2.1 metres wide. We're like, well, we should about fit through. Another sign saying no 7.5 tonners. So we were like, okay, well, we should be able to get down there. Clearly, the road signs have not been updated because we got round to the bridge at the bottom of this steep hill.
Single track.
Brick walls either side. And it's been narrowed, so you couldn't have even got a car through it.
It was a concrete chicane at 2 points.
You couldn't have got a car through that.
No way, you couldn't have even got our car through it. We've got an estate car.
You couldn't have got through it.
So, yeah.
So we've
But
back
in
up
Herman,
the hill.
So I had to reverse then up a steep hill to try and find somewhere to turn round. Again, clutch screaming, brakes stinking. I thought, ABS lights are back on. I'm like, oh, this is just a nightmare. Right, I literally had tears in my eyes at this point, so I was so tired. I mean, I tend to brush stuff off. I'm a bit of a brave type person, a man's man. Does that sound right? I don't let shit like this, especially driving.
You don't get flustered.
I don't get flustered.
No.
At this point, I've got tears in my eyes. I'm like, this is just too much. I felt like I said to Lindsay, is there really any genuine truth that you can get stuck in a twilight zone? Is it? Is this the Twilight Zone? Have I
it just felt like it because it was circumstances.
Landed in my own personal freaking horror movie. Right, so anyway, I've managed to turn round, back up and through more country lanes. Driving.
How you turn around in that lane, I have no idea. You're very good. Fortunately, the one saving grace is you can drive Herman really well. You can park it anywhere. You can turn it anywhere. I was having palpitations. I was having yet another what seemed like panic attack.
Yeah.
Because I was in bits. I couldn't even hold anything. My hands were shaking that much again. And I'd already been round it. And then we just got back on, didn't we? Then we found another park up at Quick. I can't remember how you say it, Quicken Hall or something like that.
Yeah.
And we got there and there was roadworks because they were resurfacing the road.
Yeah, so it was
so we couldn't go to that one either.
So again, do you know what I mean? This tale of woe. My own personal horror story, the Twilight Zone.
You couldn't make it up.
It didn't matter where we went, we couldn't get to it. It was just road closures,
between
road work.
The moors, sheep, blinking wooden toll bridges at the end of country lanes that you would never have thought was there in a million years. No. Another bridge that had been narrowed at the bottom of a hill over a torrenting Wye River in the middle of pitch black, and it was the most horrific night of my entire life.
Yeah. I've been all over Europe, all sorts of countries through my military days and through travelling Herman holidays. I've been up the Western Highlands of Scotland, been up the Yorkshire Dales, massively remote. But honestly, this area up around Hay Bluf is remote. And we were travelling for miles and barely seen a thing. We never found a town of any description, nothing. How can anywhere be that remote still? Anyway, eventually, let's end this tale of woe, right? We found a poxy, horrible little lay-by just before Abergavenny or just after or somewhere.
No, it was before Abergavenny.
Just before Abergavenny. So we got, it was 11:30, we stopped, we hadn't had any dinner. So I had a bag of real McCoys. Lindsay had some custard, and we went to bed. Right, and we woke up this morning. We've packed up and we've come down to a lay-by now just off the A40. It's a nice little park up. I keep looking up there and thinking, oh God. So yes, so we, as I say, over the last week or so, or 2 weeks, we've been in
Tell them
Wales.
the reason why this has all happened.
Why?
And the problems you've had.
Why?
With your Google Maps, because this all stems from the setting on your Google Maps.
So
I swear, if we'd have followed my phone, we would not have had any of that trouble, because it would have sent us a proper way.
I've done some research, and recently, I've always used Google Maps for years, and it's brilliant. It never falters. But over the last week or two, I'm thinking, why is it taking us this way? Why is it doing it this way? Well, it's a bit of a weird way. I thought I'd change the settings. And I've checked my settings and they're not. So I Googled it this morning. And I did a bit of research. And it turns out on the new update, which mine has recently, last week, updated, there is a new button on there. And it's a fuel efficiency button. So what it does, it takes you the most fuel efficient routes, rather than the most direct route, which it always used to take you. Right, so rather than stick to the main roads, it will just take you any way where it's most fuel efficient. Right, switch it off. Go into your settings.
That's what's caused it all.
Because if not, you will end up in remote places. It will take you any way where it's more fuel efficient, even if it's not on the main road. Right, it will just take you into middle of nowhere. And I've noticed over the last week that it keeps doing it. And I thought, what is this? This has never done this before. So I did my research, like I say, and I've switched it off. Switch it off, people. Honestly, excuse me, because it doesn't cause you horrors. But yeah, that's our tale of woe. We've been in Wales for a couple of weeks now. We're going to head home. We was going to head home tomorrow, but we're just going to head back tonight because Herman's absolutely filthy. I've got a few bits of maintenance I want to do over the weekend at my daughter's house. And then because on Thursday we've got to be at Rhino installs for a gas, and then we'll be heading off somewhere then. Anywhere with that bloody hills. I've had enough of hills. We've been in Yorkshire and bloody Wales, and I'm sick of hills. I want somewhere flat. I want to go to Norfolk. Anyway, that's it. We're heading back tonight. So yeah, we haven't done much filming the last couple of days because it's absolutely chucking it down. So that part one probably will remain. This is probably part two. Our tale of woe. But yeah. Anyway, I'll catch you all later. Bad times. See you later.